President Zuma defends assessments of the judiciary and the King of Bling maintains his innocence. Good day to you. President Jacob Zuma says the issues of the powers and the decisions of the judiciary cannot be separated from each other. Addressing the National Assembly during question time, President Zuma defended government's decision to conduct an assessment of the judiciary's decisions. UDM leader Bantu Holomisa wanted to know if this assessment is meant to review the powers of the Constitutional Court or just to assess court decisions. Zuma elaborates.
The executive has been taken to task on decisions it makes on the basis of the power that it is given by the Constitution as well. Equally, the judiciary makes decisions, judgments, that at times are actually turned by itself. Other levels of court make judgments. The higher courts turn them around to say your judgment was not right. So the issue of power and decisions, you can't separate these.
Opposition parties in Parliament said they'll use their collective muscle to take the Protection of State Information Bill to the Constitutional Court if necessary. With the exception of the Minority Front, all opposition parties have decided to form a partnership of cooperation as the need arises. COPE's Masiwa Lakota says in this cooperation, different political parties remain independent. According to the Constitution, a third of the members of Parliament must support an application to declare an act or part thereof unconstitutional. Lakota says this multi-party cooperation is in the best interests of the country.
There has been, in our view, a misinterpretation. There's been a suggestion that this is a ganging up against the ruling party. Now, we want to say quite emphatically, our cooperation is an act of patriotism. We are cooperating in defense of the Constitution of our country. It is that we must preserve and protect the Constitution.
Notorious jewel thief William Mbata, known as the King of Bling, maintains he's innocent despite a guilty verdict against him. He was convicted last week by the South Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg on counts of aggravated robbery, kidnapping and impersonating police officials, among other charges. Sentencing procedures are now underway. Edwin Nsidi reports.
The better part of today's proceedings were taken up by arguments in mitigation and aggravation of sentence. Mbata's lawyer, Advocate Francois Rhodes, says when passing the sentence, the court must consider the personal circumstances of the accused. This includes the fact that he has already spent 2 years behind bars since his arrest. Advocate Rhodes says Mbata is not remorseful because he maintains he is innocent. In reply, State Prosecutor Advocate Elise Leroux says the King of Bling should be removed from society. She said many of his victims are still suffering from trauma. She called for a stiff sentence.
5 school children between the ages of 12 and 16 years old have been injured in a collision between a train and a minibus taxi near Main Reef Road and Roodepoort west of Johannesburg. All 5 were transported to a medical facility with only minor injuries. Johannesburg Emergency Services spokesperson Robert Mulawutsi.
Minibus taxi carrying 14 school children collided with a train which was carrying goods. We just want to appeal to the drivers to be very careful on this railway line.
Rugby in the Western Cape could soon have a new home. The City of Cape Town and the Western Province Rugby Football Union have agreed to enter into formal discussions to move major rugby from South Africa's oldest test venue Newlands to the Cape Town Stadium. Cape Town Mayor Patricia de Lille confirmed this at a news conference this afternoon. The relationship between the city and the union has been rocky, especially after a Heineken Cup match was lost due to a disagreement. But de Lille said the two parties have buried the hatchet and are starting afresh. The top story, President Jacob Zuma says the issues of the powers and the decisions of the judiciary cannot be separated from each other.